Hey, welcome to show number 6 of the 2021 season of Snowmobiler Television. At this point, we're about halfway through our year and I've hit a wall. Well, not literally. I need to clarify that because I've hit lots of walls in the past, but figuratively this time. I've hit a wall because for this show, I've got nothing new to show you. Stick around if you want to see me talk my way out of this one.
STV is brought to you by Yamaha, revs your heart. Polaris, think outside. Ford F-Series, Canada's best-selling line of pickup trucks for 55 years. Tough, smart, capable.
Like I mentioned in the show open, we're about halfway through our season for STV. But because of the delivery schedule when it comes to television production, today is actually January 4th, about a month before this show goes to air on the networks or gets posted to social media. Now, that means it's still relatively early in the riding season, and that's become a bit of a problem when it comes to getting this show in on deadline. The edit on this show actually starts tomorrow morning, and if I don't deliver something, I am in deep doo-doo. And rule of thumb, don't piss off the editor, because they're crafty and can either make you look really good or really bad doo-doo. Last March, when COVID was just about to hit, we were at Limerick Lake Lodge enjoying one of the best, most chill rides of the year. Our deadlines for STV were over, the pressure was off, we had great trails and accommodations, and some great evening fun with the crew. Plus, we were just about to embark on a full month of travel to build up a number of destination stories we could put in the can. Putting a story in the can comes from the old days of film, where back in the day at the end of a shoot, the film would literally be put in a can. And then over time in the industry, putting something in the can meant you were finished shooting and it was ready for editing. These in-the-can stories would be used for the first shows of the following season, along with the video of all the new machines we would build up from Snowshoot in West Yellowstone. Now before COVID, we were scheduled to head back to New Brunswick, Quebec, Manitoba, and even BC, which would have put us in great shape with a number of stories waiting on the shelf for the new season to begin. From those stories, we'd bring them here into the studio and weave them into a show along with afterburn segments, tech stories from my shop, and other timely topics from the world of snowmobiling. Now, it is a good plan and normally it works out really well. Not this year though, MF COVID. And if you don't know what the MF stands for, just think about how Samuel L. Jackson would say it. At the beginning of the season, the only ride story I had in the can was Limerick Lake, a bit of a problem. Now, up to this point, we have managed to fill the shows with our typical content like afterburn segments and some stuff from the shop, but we've also brought you a bunch of old vintage stories that we may not typically do. And we're not done with vintage yet either. In a future episode, we're going to check out some epic old ice racers. These things are beautiful. We've also covered stories about the impact of COVID on the snowmobile industry. We've featured the cancellations of both heydays in the US and the Toronto Snowmobile and ATV show. Both these events have a huge impact on our snowmobiling world, especially as kickoff events to the season, and they were definitely missed going into this year. A good takeaway though is that at both of these events, they look back at 2020 as a pushing of the pause button, and there continues to be a passion to bring them back as quickly as possible. And speaking of passion, even in racing, COVID has had an effect. In our interview with Ken Evan of the CSRA, he tells us they're determined to have a series for the racer, even if they can't allow spectators on the grounds. Lastly, we've included stories about how COVID has affected sales of snowmobiles in a positive way. Dealerships have essentially sold out of inventory, and the used market is so hot right now, prices are crazy. This uptick is possibly one of the good news silver linings of the pandemic. Hopefully, all this new interest in recreational snowmobiling will mean a healthier industry when we emerge from COVID. Another issue we're facing is the same one that a lot of buyers of new snowmobiles are facing: supply chain issues. Here we are early in January, and we don't have enough sleds in the fleet to send our production team out on the snow. So just like you, we're waiting for our new iron to arrive at the dealerships, or parts for that new iron to arrive at the dealership so we can take delivery of them. Now, so far it hasn't been too much of an issue because snow conditions haven't been that great for me close to home, but every minute that goes by, they're getting better and better outside that studio door. Now, I don't know about you, but when there's snow on the ground outside and I can't ride on it, I get pretty agitated and want to throat punch somebody. MF COVID. I think by now you might be picking up on the fact that I'm getting a little frustrated with the current situation, which I am, but then again, I have to realize that I'm working on a snowmobile television show that has taken me to some of the best places in the world to go snowmobiling and given me the opportunity to share these experiences with you through video. Despite all the issues, I am super lucky to do this job, and I want to thank all of you who tune in each week to hear me babble on about snowmobiles. For me, this isn't a job, it is absolutely something I love to do, which is why I'm not giving up on snowmobiling for this year or STV. So to fill up the rest of this show, I'm going to invite Rich Kehoe into the studio with me to talk about some of the awesome places we've been to over the years and places we want to get back to as soon as travel starts to open up again. But first, I want to start with one of my most memorable rides from last year when I went to Chibougamau, Quebec. I love saying that name. Chibougamau was one of those in-the-can stories that we shot in March 2019, but went into the 2020 season of STV. To begin with, anytime I have the chance to experience snowmobiling in the province of Quebec, I'm in. There's always something special about riding there that makes each trip memorable. Chibougamau is a pretty remote town, but it has everything a sledder could want as far as amenities go. But the most important thing for any snowmobile destination is amazing trails, which Chibougamau does not disappoint on. So good. Now, as good as the trails were on the SRX, we were not in town just for the trails. We were here for the Winter Carnival and to participate in the President's Ride, where my butt landed on an old Skidoo Olympic that I named Christine. 65 worked up kilometers later, I was ready to get off the old girl, but the experience of riding the old iron with around 700 of my closest friends was something I'll never forget. And that's just one of the experiences I would do again in a heartbeat, except maybe next time I'd wear a kidney belt because my back still hurts from that ride. Now, coming up after the break, Rich is going to join me here in the studio to talk about some of our other most favorite places to ride.
STV is brought to you by Motovan, for the love of power sports.
So we're back in the studio with Rich Kehoe, and we're here, Rich, talking about all of our favorite ride places to go. And maybe let's start in the east. Let's go to New Brunswick. You've been there plenty of time.
Yeah, over the years, it's definitely been a go-to spot for me, and I always enjoy taking people from other destination points or other places of Ontario, even the Midwest, and take them to New Brunswick to experience it because it's such a cool place.
Yeah, I mean, last time we were there, we brought Tyler Swarm out, who's our mountain riding guru. He's from Idaho. We brought him up to Canada, brought him out there, and that was his first real trail experience too. And what an awesome trail experience for somebody who's never really had that. He was raving about it. He finally understood what trail riding is all about by going there.
Yeah, it's a special place. Like, just the quality of trails and the different terrains where you're up, you're down, you're going around high-speed corners. There's actually trails there called Piston Alley,
yeah,
for a reason. So it's a pretty cool place.
It's got such a rhythm to it when you're riding. And then you've got the clubhouses on the trail. I mean, awesome places to go and get warmed up and get a bite to eat.
Yeah.
I mean,
in New Brunswick, their clubhouses are definitely a destination point, a meeting point, a place where you can park your truck and trailer, and they have restaurants and everything there. They're full service. You're right.
Yeah,
they're a great place.
So Rich, you've been to New Brunswick a lot more than I have, and I think what I'm kind of seeing, even with my limited experiences there, is that it's really different between the regions that you're going to, whether you're in the north or in the south. So maybe talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, there's a lot of interesting areas to go to in New Brunswick. Personally, I like dumping into Edmundston, New Brunswick, and then snowmobiling over through Campbellton, and you can get over to Bathurst and back. There's a really good loop there. It'll keep you busy for a long time.
Mm-hmm. And I think if you go there to New Brunswick, one place to get, you have to stop is Lear's place.
Yeah, Serpentine Lodge.
Serpentine Lodge, that is absolutely amazing.
Well, you have to stop there because you need fuel.
But yeah, if you want to leave there, you need to stop there.
But the trails going in and out are nothing short of spectacular. They're probably the best trails that I've ever been on.
Yeah, right there. Let's move one province west. Let's go to Quebec. I've got lots of good memories of Quebec. We've already talked about Chibougamau and my trip up there, but where's other places you'd like to go there?
Abitibi-Temiskaming would probably be One of my favorite spots to go, just because it's easy to get to. It's right, for me, it's only 4 hours away.
Yeah.
And I can drop my sleds in there and I can get lost in the beautiful trails they have there.
Oh, from that location, to be able to ride out of there, Rouyn-Noranda up through Amos, Val-d'Or, it's just incredible riding, and it's super easy for us to get to. You coming out of the GTA-ish area, I'm coming out of Ottawa, and we're both about the same amount of time to get there.
Yeah, and it's easy to navigate through there. I was there last year with the crew, and I honestly, we had a great time. We were actually making longer loops. We had a sled malfunction, and one of the dealers in Rouyn-Noranda looked after our players really well for us. So we'll be back. We'll go back for sure.
Now, another place we were at last year, which I had a lot of fun at, just because the scenery is so spectacular, is the Chic-Chocs. With Adventure Chic-Chocs, right on the St. Lawrence Bay. I'm not sure if you've been there. You may have done the Gaspé
I've done
tour.
the Gaspé and snowmobile through the Chic-Chocs, but never actually spent a lot of time off trail. With trails that great, for me, you're kind of missing the boat. But for others that love to go off trail, I hear it's a place to go.
It was awesome there. It was like going to the mountains. It really was. But just the scenery was spectacular and second to none. I'd go back there in a heartbeat. So at this point, we have to take a break, but I also wanted to say, fun fact for you, in a couple seconds from now, when we go to commercial break, we're exactly halfway through the STV season.
Nothing fun about that.
Yay! When we come back from commercial, it's all downhill from there.
This portion of STV is brought to you by Woody's. We put the traction in action.
So Rich, we both live in Ontario, so obviously we're going to spend a lot of time here. I spent a lot of time in the Ottawa Valley, in your kind of Simcoe area.
Yeah, Lake Simcoe region.
But there's great places to ride here as well. One of the ones that really stands out in my mind is the ride from Searchmount up to Wawa with a stay at Halfway Haven in the middle. That's a pretty good ride up through there.
That's a great ride. I've done that ride a few times, Jeff, but I like to keep pushing through that area. That's a day trip for me.
Yeah, there's no problem to go from Searchmount all the way up to Wawa. That's an easy day. But if you do take that trail, spend some time at Halfway Haven because it's got gas, it's got food, and it's a neat place to kind of experience. It's a unique spot.
Yeah, they call it Halfway Haven for a reason.
Exactly. Another cool place that I've been to a couple of times is Cochrane, and I think you can hardly call yourself an Ontario rider if you've never been to Cochrane.
It seems to be where we all see, like, kickoff our season is in Cochrane. They get early snow, lots of snow, and you end your season in Cochrane too.
There's snowmobiling and grooming up there right now today. I got a Facebook notification. So, but that's a bit of a hike for us. That's like, what, 11 hours up the road or so?
Yeah, it's about 9 hours for me, yep.
Yeah, but a little closer to home. Another great spot that we've been to a number of times now is North Bay.
Yeah. Actually, I've left my house, left the shop here, and gone right up to North Bay. It's a full day ride. But the trails up there, they're phenomenal. They're nice and wide. They're groomed typically. They're groomed early and groomed late.
Yeah, and it's a great spot to even go to. Drop your truck and trailer, and you can go all kinds of different places. You can head over towards Sudbury, or you can go up towards New Lisker. You can come back into the Ottawa Valley and come down.
Do the RAP tour around
Algonquin Park. All that stuff. I mean, it's such a great place to use as a hub. Now for me, I'm an Ottawa Valley boy, so I do spend a lot of time traveling up and down there. And Pembroke is always a good one for me. We spent some time there last year, kind of on the edge of the adventure for the RAP tour.
Yep.
And again, it's right there. Got great access if you want to rip across the river and go to Quebec. And then of course you've got that loop around Algonquin Park, which is a pretty special trip to do.
Yeah, you got a lot of good riding where you're from.
Yeah.
Where I live, you got to get north. You always got to Lake Simcoe freezes, get on it, you can be up in a whole different area within minutes. It's something else. It's a big lake, but it's got to be frozen, and that's our gateway to snowmobiling.
A couple of years ago, we did a triple tour, and we just kind of hit a couple of lakes with the old triples, but I think this year, and I'm going to challenge you right now on the air, I think we need to take those old triple sleds and ride from Searchmount up to Wawa, because that's an adventure, and you kind of have to make it. There is the Halfway Haven, but you're on old iron, and you got to get there.
I'd like to double you down. You got to bring all your own plugs. No sharing plugs, no sharing belts.
Oh, I can bring a box of plugs. That's no problem.
It's going to be a necessity with that Skidoo of yours.
Now, In addition to Ontario, we want to go west. We've been to places like BC and Grizzly Lodge, which you haven't been there. You're not a real Western guy, and I have to admit my knees are no longer Western knees. They hurt a lot when I'm in the mountains, but it's always special to go to Grizzly Lodge. It's a neat spot up in the hills. Very unique experience up there. But coming back east a little bit, before COVID hit and took us out of the running, we were supposed to go to Manitoba, so hopefully one day we get to go there. And also Alberta. I think we were supposed to go up to Fort Mac, so hopefully that's going to happen sooner than later, but of course we've got to deal with COVID-19. One thing we haven't talked about yet is the US side, and I want to address that right when we come back from break. And I'm thinking my favorite place to go in the US for a couple of reasons is West Yellowstone.
I agree with you there, Jeff. It's a great place to visit.
So let's go to the US after the break.
STV's Pro Tip of the Day is brought to you by Yamaha.
For today's pro tip, I wanted to have a little bit more fun with it. So it's all about having a warm snack on the side of the trail, which is absolutely doable, especially if you have a device like this one, which is called the Muff Pot. Now, despite sounding ridiculous, it actually works pretty good, and it's very simple. It just attaches to your exhaust system and heats up from the heat of your exhaust. This one is on an aftermarket one, but you can get these to attach to a stock exhaust as well. Now, if you don't want to go this way, here's another option. 7 or 8 layers of tin foil, kind of folded up into a little pouch, is another great way to cook your favorite trailside snack. Mine happens to be sausage, onion, maybe a little bit of garlic, some nice olive oil drizzled over top. 25 kilometers down the trail, you have yourself a piping hot snack that will make everybody else you're riding with jealous. Now, one thing not to do, definitely don't put a full can of anything in there, because if you do, it's gonna get too hot, it's gonna blow up, and that's gonna leave a mess.
Closed captioning is brought to you by Best Western Hotels and Resorts.
So far on this show, Rich and I have been talking about some of the best places to ride all across Canada. Now, while writing this, I can't help but think about regular riders like us who are feeling frustrated or unsure about how or where they can ride, but also the clubs and volunteers who are the ones that make this wintertime pastime a reality. Across Canada, club members have been doing their absolute best to put together a snowmobile season that balances our need to ride with the requirements of provincial and local health authorities. I can speak about my frustrations in producing a TV show, but I couldn't imagine trying to navigate the current situation as a snowmobile club member and volunteer. So while we reflect on just a few of the spectacular riding destinations throughout the snowbelt, I wanted to take a few minutes to thank all the people who make snowmobiling possible. In regular seasons, your work often goes without thanks. For this season of uncertainty, I don't think your workload has gotten any easier, so it's more important than ever that all of us snowmobilers take the time to say thank you for your efforts. Thank you for your passion this year, last year, and for all the years to come. And speaking of years to come, if you're one of the new riders who have found your way onto a snowmobile because COVID has changed the way you choose to recreate, volunteering at the club level is a great way to meet other sledheads and give back to this community. Now, on behalf of all of us at Snowmobiler TV and OSM, I want to say thank you once again to the volunteers for the work you do. And even though we miss riding in all these great areas across Canada, we also miss meeting the people behind the trails that always make us feel welcome and have become friends over the years. I truly hope we'll be riding together again soon.
That's why I'm hanging on. I'm still here hanging on your every word. That's why I'm hanging on. I'm still here hanging on your every word.
All right, so now it's time to go to the US. Now, there's great riding all over the place down there in the snowbelt, but one place in particular that's really close to me and what I like is West Yellowstone. And we go there every year for snowshoot.
Yeah, it's a great time, Jeff. Going to West Yellowstone, there's always tons of stuff to do. There's no matter what kind of trail riding you want to do or off-trail riding, it's there. It was the start of it all.
and exactly, and I think that's why the manufacturers choose to go to West Yellowstone every year for Snowshoot, where we get to try all the new vehicles, which is really one of the best days at work ever. But it is because there's something there for everyone. If you're into mountain sleds, there's awesome mountain riding. Not super extreme depending on where you want to go, but there's enough alpine riding for you. They got great trails. You can ride anything there. And really there's something for everybody. You can, from snow scoots to mountain sleds to snow bikes. If you want to experience snowmobiling, it's all right there.
It's all available there. And there's also a lot of restaurants and hotels, so you can go back multiple times. There's lots of restaurants to eat at. It's kind of like a snowmobiling paradise. Yeah, there's a ton of things to do there for everyone, not just and the family as well.
Yeah.
But you can go to the IMAX, there's movie theater, there's tons of nightlife and lots of restaurants.
Museums, everything you need. And I mean, just that whole experience is great to immerse yourself in. And I think from what I understand, in the summertime, that place is an absolute zoo, no pun intended. But in the wintertime, I mean, it's a lot more chill. You can get into restaurants. There's no big lineups, so it's really accessible. So if you wanted that experience of West Yellowstone, as far as the town goes, the wintertime is the perfect time to be there. And of course, you've got Yellowstone Park, which is right there.
Yeah, you got the geyser. You can take a guided tour in there now.
Yeah, and I mean, you can ride a rental snowmobile in there. It has to be an approved snowmobile to go in the park, but they also have the snow buses that will get you in there, and it would be an awesome experience. Something that actually we haven't done, so we have to do that. So maybe next time we're down there, we'll have to make those arrangements. But again, with all the places all the great places to go ride snowmobiles in the US, I think for an experience for a Canadian that wants a unique US experience to go down there to ride snowmobiles, West Yellowstone is one of the best. Again, with all the different types of riding you can do and the wonderful vistas. I mean, you can take your family and ride right up to the top. Is it Two Tops?
Two Top Mountain.
Two Top Mountain. And I mean, the view from up there is absolutely spectacular. Now, I think we've come to the end of this show, and I wanted to say outside it is getting a lot better as far as snow conditions go. And I think we're gonna be heading out a little bit later on tonight because we're gonna get back to my place and ride some triple sleds. But that's gonna be for another show. We'll see you next time.
STV is brought to you by CKX, wear your passion. Schaefer's, specialized lubricants since 1839. Best Western Hotels and Resorts. Ready to get away?